While everyone's attention was on the Game Awards last week, Slitherine had a bit of a treat for strategy gamers with their own Slitherine Next showcase. There was a bunch of very cool stuff, but this game caught my attention and I think you would be quite interested in, especially if you enjoy playing Hearts of Iron 4. Yes, this looks quite identical to HOI4, but it's not a grand strategy game. Instead, Battleplan is a game that takes the battle mechanics of HOI4 and spins it as its own game. I like the way battles play out in HOI4. I think that was one of the parts of the game that I really got into and I really thought it was great. Simplifying the whole front line, creating divisions, having fallback lines and attack moves, like as if you were a football manager and you're playing a management game, perhaps better than the current football manager. So this little game company, Foolish Mortals Games, took what I thought was the best part of HOI4 and is giving us a World War II battle playground to put our general's hat on and try our level best to overcome the enemy forces. This isn't a foolish idea really, it's quite brilliant. And Foolish Mortal Games has made some rather interesting war games in the past, like Radio General, which was released back in 2020. These devs actually have some pretty good ideas and they have managed to deliver their vision in the past. So I think there's a good chance that this game might actually deliver. Battleplan is a war game where you will be tasked at capturing an objective on the map. It's a war game, so it has victory points. I'm not sure if that's what it'll be called. The terrain has a huge impact on your unit's movements, as well as the logistics of getting supplies to them. While it hasn't got the grand strategy trappings, it is still a pretty detailed war game. The campaign takes place at the western front of World War II, from the Normandy landings, and includes major battles in the war. It will have 10 missions in the campaign. You can play as the American, British or Canadian forces, or even mix and match them and make your own if you wanted to. Based on how well you did in your mission, your score will dictate the requisition points you get and how much you can reinforce your units and bring in new units to the fray. There are unit veterancy at play, and officers can also gain experience and get powerful abilities. So unlike a typical war game that is very scenario based, the campaign has some level of persistence. I'll highlight 3 things that I really like about Battleplan. There is a ton of details and not everything is available on the game's website or the Steam page. I would say the details are still a little light on the game, but these 3 things really impressed me. The first thing is the planning phase. You begin each day in the mission you are in. It looks surprisingly simple, but the complexity of the plan you can come up with, it seems quite staggering. Like in this chain of command screen here, there are defensive, offensive and other options for you to choose from. Selecting any of these will let you draw a line on the map to instruct the division to take that action, or rather queue that action up in your overall battle plan for the day. There are some insane level of control here, like you can set certain actions to be executed based on date and time, or when you give the signal, which means you can orchestrate a coordinated offensive move on multiple fronts relatively easily. You can queue up your orders for each division as they follow it sequentially and based on your instructions, maybe for a set amount of time or reacting to an enemy's movement. This is primarily a game about macro strategy rather than microing every single company, which there could be over 100. But you could micromanage a regiment if you needed to get them out of harm's way if need be. The second thing I'm impressed by is the level of detail in the simulation. This is a game that simulates the movements of war every single second in real time. Although of course you can speed it up or pause it at any time. The battle maps are based off of realistic topology of maps during the time period of World War II, so expect rivers, forests, hills, swamps to be where they're supposed to be. And all this terrain has an impact, as I said, on your troops and on supplies. So if you're rolling around with a division filled with armor, you won't want to move them to rough terrain like swamps, where supplies might be a problem. Strategic and tactical decisions like that will be crucial in Battleplan. There's also some nice touches like real historical photos that teach you a little bit about the war and the points of interest around the battle map. You know, who says video games don't teach you anything? You can learn history while playing this. The third and final thing that impressed me is what you do during the night. A nighttime is a special phase where visibility becomes almost zero, which means moving your troops around masked by the darkness of night is a viable tactic to surprise the enemy for a dawn attack. This is a legit move. Planning your surprise attacks in the cover of darkness and making sure the enemy doesn't surprise you. Battleplan emphasizes how you use time effectively in your plans, because the missions in the campaign will also have a time limit for you to achieve your objective, which could be a week or a month, so it depends on the mission. So while working out the perfect plan could seem like it's super important or else you totally ruin everything, there is no such thing as a perfect plan, and plans can and do fall apart all the time, like real life. So how you react to the changing situation, creating an emergency plan, will often be the difference between victory or defeat. I've put a link to a showcase video on the game that gives you more details on the intricacies of the game, although I do think there's a lot left out in all the info available on the game online, but we will have to wait till February 23rd of 2026 to be able to play a demo of the game at the Steam's Next Fest. We don't have a release date on the game yet, but I do think this will certainly be a 2026 release, and I think I'm going to like this game. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, there were a lot of other rather interesting games covered in the Slitherine Next showcase that I didn't talk about in a video. I might do a video when I get hands-on with them next year. I'll certainly be keeping an eye on Slytherine's catalog of games. They have certainly done a stellar job at getting a bunch of really cool strategy games on their stable. Tell me in the comments, what do you think about Battleplan? Are you looking forward to this one, or is this the first time you're hearing about it? I recently did a video speculating on what Paradox might announce as their next major game. That includes Hearts of Iron 5. Check out that video over here. Thanks for watching and farewell, noble friends.